Hello, and welcome to Voices Unleashed, in which we celebrate voices, musicians, artists, and their influence on our community and beyond. My name is Alexandra Babbel, and I'm so happy to present this series for you. And my guest today is Amy Coleman. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to have Amy with us because I'm learning new things about her every day. Even just this morning before we rolled, I learned something new about Amy. She's a woman of many talents and a lot of experience. And we crossed paths at yoga. And when we met one another, we made a beautiful connection. And then Amy began to pursue her own singing voice with lessons with me and is now a happy member of Candeska and has quickly become a leader in that group. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, I'm thrilled. You come from a lineage of powerful women. Tell me where it all began for you. And you may even be able to begin a few generations back, if you don't mind.
I love that that's the opening statement. Yes, I have some really wonderful and powerful women in my family. I could say it all started with my grandmother. Her name was Alice, and Alice was the matriarch of our family. And she really instilled in all of us a lot of confidence, a lot of charisma, a lot of just comfort. She had this ability to make anybody feel welcome and special. And I'm really grateful that I get to be a part of her world, or I got to be. And my mom is another really powerful figure in my life. She always raised me with a really strong head on my shoulders and reminded me to do what felt right and to explore what felt good for me, meaning traveling or trying new skills. And yeah, she really wanted me to go as far as I could, and she still encourages me every day. So
beautiful. Where were you born?
I was born on Vancouver Island in the Cowichan Valley in Duncan.
Okay. Wow. And what journey led you to Kelowna?
I think it was back in 2010. My aunt lives in Summerland, and she needed some help at the time. And I was sort of floating around and feeling a little lost. At the time, I was about 19 years old, and I thought, you know what, this is a really great opportunity to travel, to move, to try something different. And so I came out here to support her during that time, and I ended up staying for quite a few years. And then I spent a few years in Montreal before recently coming back. And the most recent return to Kelowna was again for family. I wanted to be closer to home. During my granny's final days, I was really grateful that I got to spend some time with her. And also just to be closer to my mom and my dad.
So what have you done vocationally outside of music that I'm only just learning about today?
There are a lot of things.
Yeah, you've had a varied history.
Yes, yeah. So my calling, my career path in my life, I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm also a yoga teacher. And so my affinity for this all sort of came from my own health issues. Around the time of 18, I became plant-based. I started eating vegetarian, and I wasn't doing it correctly for myself. So I went from eating a pretty, standard American diet, it was not the most healthy, to just removing animal products, and I ended up getting very sick. I had a gut microbiome imbalance, and I ended up in the hospital with an abscess on my tonsil.
Wow.
And that was a really big wake-up call.
Yeah.
It sort of stimulated this desire to just do better, to be well.
Yes.
And I ended up putting myself through school to become a holistic nutritionist here in Kelowna at CSNN. And that was really the catalyst to this beautiful world of holistic wellness. From there, I did that program and understood the gut microbiome and how our bodies function and what sort of our environment needs to look like, what our food needs to look like, and also that nutrition is so much more than just food. From there, I ended up doing my yoga teacher training, and at that time I discovered Ayurveda, and I went deep into my studies about Ayurveda, which, if you've never heard of it before, is an ancient system. It's the sister science to yoga, and it's all about how we nourish ourselves. And from there, it's just sort of evolved. And at this point, I consider myself extremely lucky that I get to talk about it all day long. I get to teach other women. I specifically work with women's hormones, women's gut health and hormones. That's sort of my forte, if you will.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. So you've had a real strong connection with the pursuit of health and wellness, based out of your own history of troubles, right? And I think that a lot of people have that same desire to improve their health and their wellness. We've got a lot going on right now, even politically in the States, where there's a pursuit for health and wellness in the MAHA, they're calling it MAHA, and Bobby Kennedy going after that. I sense that there's a pursuit of that among most of our population. But beyond that, I think there's a connection between health, wellness, and those things with which we surround ourselves. So not only just, what TV shows we're watching and what we're putting in our body in terms of food, what supplements, but also I think there are ways in which we can improve our own health and wellness without getting too woohoo with music.
Absolutely.
And that's why I've brought you in today, so that I could learn from you. What is your perspective on this idea of frequency, pitches, music, and community singing? What do you think about all that?
Oh, that's a big question. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm going to begin by sharing that many years ago I learned about cymatics. And if you've never heard of cymatics before, picture taking some grains of salt and putting them on top of a speaker, and then having that speaker play specific frequencies. And then that salt begins to take different shapes and different forms, right? And
Yes.
They're all perfect geometrical shapes. It's this beautiful representation of how sound and frequency affects matter. So that was something that was planted at a young age. And I think from that point on, I really started to understand, especially after diving into yoga and understanding the chakra systems in the throat, especially after understanding, generational traumas, and especially as being a woman, in this world, we're one of the first generations of women that have the ability to use our voice so powerfully. But that doesn't mean that the generations before us don't still live within us. So I feel that when I think about holistic nutrition, right? Nutrition is not just about the foods we put into our body. For me, nutrition is about how we nourish ourselves holistically.
Mm-hmm.
A big piece of that is, are we expressed? Are we able to transform and transmute whatever is going on within us? And I know we're going to stay away from the woo-woo stuff, but
why not? Well, you know what? Well, we're already there. Let's do it.
Part of who I am. It's hard not to, and we can ground it in science if you'd like
for
to.
Sure,
as well, right?
But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, like I'll speak for myself here, when I just let myself make sound, whether that is just a moaning or a grunting or a yelling or a screaming, it is such a powerful way of releasing. And then you organize that into song, right? And especially when you organize it into song and you integrate emotion into it, it's this beautiful thing that happens where you just can't help but share. And I'm sure we've all experienced a moment where we're hearing someone play an instrument or sing and we get moved, right? We feel emotional hearing them. And I can't help but just feel that that's that perfect sort of midpoint of transmuting something that's deeply uncomfortable or deeply emotional or sad or moving and happy, whatever it is, and then expressing that. It's an art, it's creativity. And that, I believe, is really a big part of how we nourish ourselves.
Oh man, we could talk so much about this. This is amazing. I have definitely felt from the very beginning of my life that the sound and the movement of frequency in a space does change that space and does change us. There've been much teaching on this idea about music as a healing modality. And I even know from my friend Brian Weeb, with whom we will be recording soon in his studio, watch out for that. Amy's going to be doing spontaneous song with the group, that there is even this indication, an idea that in certain cultures, certain pitches on certain vowels are sung over those that might be struggling with some sort of illness in order to make them well. Now, that's out there, but I believe it. And I know for myself that when I am in good voice and I'm singing and the throat is open, it's like hitting the ball out of the park. It's a great feeling. You get a dopamine hit, a serotonin hit, and it may even be reorganizing something within me that I can't measure. And it's interesting too. It should be noted that in Sweden there are children's hospitals now where children don't even realize they're being treated for their severe illnesses, but they are being put into spaces where their frequency is being played in the room that is believed to make a difference to those children's health. It's a lot to consider and a lot to pursue. So these things are out there, but we know for ourselves, we can only speak for ourselves, that these things do make a difference to our lives. So when you are vocalizing, when you're feeling this freedom and this expression to really use your entire voice, I myself have compared you to the voice of Jesse Norman. You heard it. I said it. Now, the reason I think that this woman's voice is like Jesse Norman is, well, there's a voluptuous fullness to the tone of your voice. There's a freedom that it feels like you are using the full capacity of your body as the instrument. Many people think that the voice is just right here in the throat, but it's really, really comes from the very roundness of our entire torso and the breath moving through it. And so the joy that I've had in instructing Amy is just, wow, really just directing what already is. There's a real understanding of your voice already, and a sense of full body breathing, a sense of freedom in the throat. You use the word chakra, other people use other words, but this freedom in the throat and the sounds that you're making. What do you hope to see in your future using your voice and your training? What can we anticipate? No obligation, but potential can be a real enemy. But what do you hope to see with your talent?
Well, first of all, thank you for that beautiful compliment. I've always wanted to sing, and just need to take a moment to speak to Alexandra's abilities to free someone's voice. That does not go unnoticed. I feel like the potential is something that you really witnessed and have been able to draw from me. And I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like it's really just the beginning. So
absolutely.
Yeah, as far as where do I see that going? That's such a great question. I mean, there's always been this dream of mine to be able to, record an album one day and let the song that's on my heart come out. I don't feel quite ready for that. So at the moment, being able to have these opportunities with Candeska, for example, and being able to perform with other amazing women who are so incredibly talented. There's one thing I really value. It's putting myself in rooms with people who are smarter than me, and people who are, farther ahead than I am in the dreams that I would like to accomplish. And so that's been a really awesome opportunity as well. I want to continue to explore the depths of what my voice could look like. And in my own history, it's funny to look back on all of the steps that lead you to where you are today. I was always singing. My parents couldn't get me to shut up when I was a kid. And at one point I was in a band, and I was singing in the band, and I felt like there was just something that I wasn't able to reach within my voice when I was singing with them. And having practiced and taught yoga over the years, the breath component is something I'm learning is such an important 100%. Piece of singing. So there's all of these little, points along the trail that have sort of led me to where I am. And I can't even imagine where I'll be in 5 years, 10 years from now. But I hope still singing. That's the goal.
100%. Yeah. I think you will be. How can those that are watching find you?
Well, I'm on the internet, but so my company is called Taste Nutrition. I work with women's health and hormones, gut health and hormones, and I'm on Instagram and I'm TikTok. I'm on all the sort of regular platforms. And I
with
also
your
have a
name,
website.
Your name. Okay.
It would be Taste Nutrition. You can also find me by searching the handle Amy Activates, and you'll find me there.
Great. And we'll put those in the show notes for you if you'd like to reach out to Amy or to either one of us. I really enjoyed our chat. I'm so happy I got to introduce you to my happy audience, and I look forward to doing so much more music with you. We'll have you back after the recording is completed to talk about that spontaneous song where we are planning to lead the entire community of Candeska into a spontaneous song experience. We've done it once before in a previous season, and it was very fruitful, but I feel with your leadership, it's going to be extraordinary. So thank you so much, Amy, for being a part of my series, and thank you so much, audience. Thank you to JR, my producer. Thank you to Kelowna Now, who have made this opportunity possible for me. I'm really enjoying it, and I will see you next time.